Tony Sink.
That is me,
How are you, man?
the one and only. Not too bad. Pumped, actually. I'm always pumped. But
Always pumped, man. So, I love your space. What what's it all about?
what's it all about?
What's it all about for you?
Operation Inspiration. Uh, I think the biggest thing is I'm gonna label it as it. I'm gonna label it.
Yeah.
I've taken it way farther than fathomable. It's
Mhm.
already become like a dream. So basically, I was paralyzed from the neck down when I was 16 years old, shut off,
How'd that happen?
uh, drinking and driving. 16 years old. I guess I was just a while. I wasn't even really drinking a whole lot. I was just going fast on a gravel road and rolled into a telephone pole.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it broke my neck. Had a cervical dislocation at C5 and C6. That I had amongst many other injuries, but that was the one that shut me off from the neck down.
Do you remember what that felt like?
Yeah, I was awake the whole time. I kind of just felt a jolt go through my body, and I know that I thought about my head injury, and I was inside the car for a couple hours before they cut me out.
Oh, whoa.
So I didn't really even go into shock. It was kind of crazy. I got airlifted to one hospital and then airlifted to another hospital, and then they, stabilized me, put staples in my head. I had surgery a few days later. I was in ICU, where they do an anterior fusion. They cut through my neck,
Mhm.
moved my stuff to the side. They took bone graft out of my hip, and they put it in with a titanium plate and some screws,
Yeah.
and they're, keep me alive, take some pressure off of my spinal cord. I didn't get any motor function back. So even with the surgery, all I got was hypersensitivity.
What's that mean?
Uh, basically, let me just explain it this way. I got shut off from the neck down, so when my nerves got jump started when they relieved that pressure on my neck, it's like I could feel everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like pins and needles. The blankets hurt. If you touched me, I didn't know if I was
So you're
getting
like ultra sensitive.
lit on fire or yeah. And I'm still kind of affected to this day, but that's kind of like my gift. Does that make sense? Like I can put
Yeah.
feelings into words, and I'm very hypersensitive when it comes to like my diet, my nutrition, and my movements.
You're very in tune.
I'm very aware of my nervous system, and that's kind of why I train the way that I do. I don't want people to go down that aesthetical, vanity type path.
Yeah.
I want you to go down like movement improvement. If there's no long-term application for what you're doing on a daily basis, you're screwing yourself over.
That is important. Sustainability and longevity, having those things is very important. And yeah, so I think that a lot of people they aren't in tune with their body, like they don't know how to listen
That's
to
why.
what it's saying. So yeah, so this experience definitely just puts you on the fast track to that.
Oh man,
So how long was this recovery? Like what was take us yeah,
man,
let's
it's
keep going with
such
this
it's such a
with this
crazy story.
process. Yeah, let's keep going down this path.
So after my surgery, there was a lot of different obstacles, and I could go into some extreme detail, but being shut off from the neck down, it just makes you like everybody came in to see me, was crying.
Mhm.
They were starting to prepare my parents. They're like, hey, you're gonna have to take care of him.
Like they told
Life's
you.
gonna change for you guys. They're changing my catheter out in front of me. I can't move my hands. I can't move my fingers. I'm shut off. I can't feed myself.
What's going through your head?
I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
suicide.
really.
Yeah.
You're just
I mean,
I don't even want to live.
yeah. They had a therapist, and I was like, hey, when I can move my hands, I ain't gonna have a family. I ain't gonna have kids. I can't chase my dreams.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm. I would say I was in a lot of different directions as a kid, but the one thing I knew I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to be a Navy SEAL all growing up.
Okay.
I was a Boy Scout, and I baled hay, and I wrestled, and I played baseball, and I wasn't exceptional at any of this stuff, but I was just, a kid that grew up 12 miles from my school in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, and I had big dreams before my accident. I was kind of a punk,
Okay.
but it was kind of like a rebirth for me. I mean, it just made me have so much gratitude for every simple little thing in
Mhm.
life. I mean, even down to I love to do carpentry. It's because I love to just put my hands on things and feel textures. And when it comes to movement improvement, man, health and wellness needs to be something that you can apply in your daily life that not only makes you feel better, it makes you perform better. Because if you're doing these workouts and crippling yourself up, right?
Yeah.
How that's kind of counterproductive for your day,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. A lot of people want to just go to the gym and beat themselves
Yeah,
up.
yeah. So your work ethic and your pain tolerance is dangerous. That's one of my curses. Because I think I got to kick my ass. I was paralyzed, so I got to get as
Gotta go
much
even
as I
harder.
can. Yeah. So I used to work out really intense and mindlessly 10 years ago. Once I got, somewhat back to normal. But anymore, I feel like it's just I'm maturing my fitness and my message more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So these rehabilitation hoops that I had to jump through, the first thing I could move was my right foot.
Yeah. So how long was it after surgery? Like, when did you start?
12 days I got my right foot to move.
Okay, so you started
And
getting
then I got
getting
my
movement
yeah,
back pretty
pretty quick.
quickly.
And I got my like right arm, I could lift it up, and my left leg pick it up. Still couldn't feed myself. Didn't have dexterity. They released me from the hospital before I had dexterity. The first obstacle, believe it or not, was sitting up. My blood pressure would drop, and I'd get sick and want to pass out.
Yeah.
Luckily, my stepdad was a registered nurse, so I had a lot of. And he
Oh,
was pretty ornery too, so it made my real bit. And I had a mother that stood right by my side the whole time.
it's a good support system.
Oh man, I didn't. It was before social media, and so there was no fundraisers you could raise. They didn't put a chair in front of me or give me some kind of van. They just started telling my parents, they're like, "Life's gonna change for you guys. You're gonna have to take care of him."
Yeah.
They
Holy
didn't.
shit.
They didn't think I'd ever walk again, be functional again. So their goal for me was to be able to, try to figure out what I can and can't do in life. You know what I mean? And get my
Yeah.
rehabilitation. And they put me on medications to help with my nerves and stuff like that. But I I was very, very motivated in rehabilitation when I went to the second hospital after 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
They had me sitting up. I wasn't walking. I wasn't moving my hands or anything like that yet. But when they put me in this rehab center, I was the youngest person there. There were stroke patients and amputees and, all kinds of, way more advanced stuff. And I'm like thinking, man, I'm 16 years old. I'm never going to have a family. I can't pick stuff up.
Kind of feel sorry for yourself.
Yeah,
a
I
little
was. I felt real sorry for myself. But I didn't let that beat me down. Like, yeah, I went through like my mental stuff where, suicide, and I'm putting quotations up beside that. Like, I really just wasn't happy. I wasn't seeing the bigger picture yet.
Yeah.
Because I seen that I just had my whole body taken out from underneath me.
That can be all encompassing, man. I mean, that's a huge ordeal for anybody, especially a 16-year-old who has very little perspective.
I had a pretty tough exterior as a 16-year-old, so I didn't try to like let people pity party me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I developed my personality to make people laugh. I could make people feel good, and I didn't even have to move. I didn't have to do anything. I could just
It's all personality.
yeah, all personality, laying in the bed, and I would flirt with the nurses, giving me sponge baths to make everybody in there, laugh. I'd talk about all kinds of stuff. So I tried to make that experience of rehabilitation more fun, even than if it was like, you've heard the expression, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody else thought I was a lot happier than I actually was.
Really.
Does that make sense? Like, I gave
Yeah.
that
Just
vibe
kind of
off.
put on a mask.
Yeah, and I only spent 6 weeks in a hospital. So 2 weeks at the first hospital, like 10 days in ICU. And once I got out of ICU, they sent me to a rehab center, which was closer to home.
Okay. This is
I
all
st-
in Iowa still.
Yep. So the rehab center, like my first hospital was about an hour and a half. So it was a long drive for my parents to come see me. And
Yeah.
I was there for almost 2 weeks in the first hospital.
By yourself for the most part.
Yeah, my mom stayed by my side a lot. But yeah, it was, 2 weeks I'm in a hospital bed stuck.
Okay.
So once they get me to the point they can sit me up, my blood pressure's not dropping, and they can put me in a chair physically. I lost the hair on the back of my head. They're still changing my catheter out. I can't feed myself, and I get sent to this rehab center thinking, I didn't think I had any hope. I had no hope. They're just, they're saying, hey, anything you get is what you earn.
Yeah.
And they can't tell me how bad or what I'll get because nerves are a funny thing apparently. I made leaps and bounds. I got on my feet. If I fell down, I still couldn't get up. So after a month in the rehab center, they sent me home. And I wanted to do things, and I didn't let it stop me. So I didn't have dexterity in my left hand, and I wanted to fish all summer, and I got my neck broken. My stepdad duct taped my left hand to a fishing reel so I could still reel in a fish.
That's awesome.
So I made it work, and I did physical therapy 5 days a week for 6 to 8 months. I mean, seriously, just day in and day out, and I was passionate about it, and I was trying to get my grip back and my balance back and just get my body to work. I couldn't do a push-up for 18 months, and I grew up wrestling and playing baseball and baling hay, so to be able to lay down on the ground and not be able to push myself up was very mentally debilitating. And I went out for wrestling my senior year, which was probably 18 months after my accident.
Really.
And I probably shouldn't have, but I'm glad I did. Does that make sense? Like, there were times that I would have to opt out of practice and hop on the exercise bike and, stuff like that, like if I get my head cranked or.
Yeah.
And then I was afraid more than I am now. I can trust, like, man, they fixed me pretty good. They took a bone out of my hip and fused two vertebrae together. And
Yeah.
yeah, I will get a little more wear and tear on the discs above and below, but as long as I do things right, now I'm like, I feel almost like a superhero within reason.
Man, and they're doing so many great things. Like they're like
Oh
regrowing those
man,
discs now.
it's well, when 14 years ago when they did my accident, or when they did my surgery when I had my accident, it was a newer procedure. Christopher Reeves, Superman, the original Superman. This is kind of my story. Uh, he fell off a horse. The actor, the original actor,
Hmm.
he fell off a horse and he had a C5, C6 dislocation. Same I did. They had to remove a disc and they fused two vertebrae. I think he got a cadaver bone. I got a bone out of my hip. Um, he never got out of a chair ever again in his life.
Right.
Same dislocation, same surgery.
Oh shit.
Here I am 14 years later, I can walk on my hands, and they never thought I'd walk again.
Yeah.
I do it every day.
So during this time when you're going through recovery, I mean, do you just focus on like little goals? Is it just to get to the next goal, or are you focused on like the one big overarching, like, you know what I mean? Like what's your focus during that time? What's keeping you going?
in the beginning, I kind of had I had this moment.
Uh-huh.
I had a moment, and this moment changed my life. And I went go-karting with a bunch of my friends. I grew up with them, and I was, like I said, I wasn't exceptional at anything, but there were a lot of kids I was better at than things, and there was a lot of kids that were better than me at things, and I'd always be nipping on their heels, whether it's throwing a ball or running on the track or whatever it was. And I went go-karting with a group of like 10 buddies, and we all went go-karting, and they all got out to go putt-putting to the next place, and I couldn't get out of the go-kart. I couldn't physically get myself out of the go-kart. I was so embarrassed. I mean, I could not get myself out of the go-kart. I had to flop out on the ground. I didn't tell anybody. I almost cried.
Really?
I'm 17 years old. This is a year after my accident, and I'm not back to normal, but I'm like, you can't tell. If you met me on the street, you couldn't tell that I got in an accident unless I was like, yeah, I broke my neck. People would be like, whoa. But no, I couldn't get out of the go-kart. And I think that weekend I went to a gym, right? And I had no clue what I was doing, and I ran into this just humongous of a guy. And he gave me a book. And the book was Arnold's Encyclopedia for Bodybuilding. Oh, shit. And then I'm telling you, within 3 months of me having that book, I didn't have to go to rehab anymore. I was just lifting weights. I was hitting muscle groups. I was trying to stay balanced. I was, hitting my days. I was trying to make my own routines. And,
Yeah.
like I was idolizing a bodybuilder.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people's intro.
You know what? I didn't know any better. I went from rehab trying to just lead a normal life to I gotta get strong. I couldn't. I was like, man, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I gotta build some muscle.
So you weren't really lifting before then at all.
No,
It
not
was
at
just
all.
kind of just being just like a natural athlete
Yeah.
doing sports.
Well, they make us do stuff in wrestling and stuff like and baseball and we run track, but nothing just super out of the ordinary, extraordinary.
Yeah.
I wasn't a kid that did push-ups all the time or pull-ups all the time. I never, played with weights or anything. I
Yeah.
might have had one growing up here and there.
Yeah.
But
were you a very healthy kid growing up? Like whenever I was growing up, like I grew up in like backwoods Missouri, so we didn't eat very healthy.
well, I will say, I will say I was very homegrown. I did have a mother that cooked me all meals. They didn't hold me
Okay.
back from food, but they did feed me materials that probably, that I could reflect on now that I'm like, man, my parents don't understand why I don't eat the same things as when I was a kid.
Right.
But now it's like, man, ignorance is bliss. I didn't know any better then. Now I'm like, man, that stuff's poison.
Yeah.
It's just straight up
A
poison.
lot of white bread.
Oh, yeah, I could get
lot of
I could get
soda.
crazy into your materials, but I mean, on a cellular level, you want to fuel your hot rod.
Oh yeah.
You want to put good fuel in your body. You are what you eat, and you want things to repair. Like I said,
Yeah.
you're a product of your environment. So if you're eating like an asshole, you might develop some gelatinous tissue in your body. And
that
know?
and there's a great saying: "You are what you eat." Have you heard that?
Yeah,
Sean
you are-
C- Yeah.
yes.
So what you're eating, whatever they ate, is gonna affect you too. That's why if you're eating beef, grass-fed, grass-finished, like you
Yep.
want high-quality food.
yeah, you can get really really over the top crazy with it. When it comes to nutrition, I make sure that I'm fueled. And I
Yeah.
do the surplus, a deficit. I don't try to count my calories. I try to
Yeah, I
listen
do
to my
that.
body. I
Mhm.
try to biohack. I don't do the whole intermittent fasting kick. I do metabolic fasting. So I know how to like fuel my body. So if I eat a whole bunch of food that I shouldn't have ate, I might do a little bit of a fast and some hard work the next day to clean my guts out and my
Mhm.
system. And vice versa. If I got a lot of training come up, man, I'm going to eat a lot the day before because I know I got a high volume of training to do. You know,
Yeah.
so but that takes a long time to learn. Everybody responds different to different foods, different timing, you know, supplements. Um, but when it comes to like, you know, the accident and the rehabilitation, I had that moment. So I get Arnold's Encyclopedia, and you know, within 3-4 months, I don't have to go to rehab anymore because I'm like, you know, seeing significant, and I'm gonna label them as gains, gains.
Yeah.
Now I was lifting weights, and you know, I'm doing like lat pull downs and bicep curls. I'm doing, you know, trying to bench press because you know I went from not being able to do a push up to start lifting weights.
Yeah.
And you know, I sold shoes for a long time for a company called Trade Home Shoes, and I would work crazy retail hours, and I would still go to the gym at 9 o'clock at night when the mall closed, and I'd stay there till 11 for 2 hours just lifting weights. Did nothing but just lifting weights on my days. I had every separate day. I had leg day, arm day, back day, chest day.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm like, man, it's very primitive. I look back on it, I'm like, man, I wish I knew more then. But
Yeah.
I get home at 11 and I would cook. I'd cook all my food for the next day, and I would eat that night until midnight. I'd wake up at like 6 the next morning, and I'd go get my stuff ready. And sometimes I'd go on a run, and I'd go to the mall, and I'd sell shoes. So I was at 140 hours a week, you know, all the time, or every 2 weeks, every pay period. I did that for a long time, and I sold shoes, and finally, you know, I kind of just felt like working so many retail hours and growing up on a farm and riding horses and baling hay, and I really emotionally depressed me. So even though I was training and getting healthy and making these gains, you know, I'm like 19 years old. I got up to like 170 pounds. I graduated 135, mind you. So I
Okay.
gained 35 pounds in 2.5 years of just pumping protein and
Yeah.
just trying to get the calories in to gain my weight. And I didn't really feel that good. Like, does that make sense? Like, I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I felt like I put on muscle, but I'm like, I didn't feel like performance gains.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't out. I mean, you weren't operating like an optimal level at that
Nope,
point.
I was
So
bodybuilding.
yeah. I mean, you hit a goal which you thought would make you happy, but
And I'm up there at this. You know, I have more muscle I built on, and you know, I filled in some gaps. I'll call it in my body. You know, my nervous system and stuff, and I still wasn't happy. And I got asked to go to a boxing gym by one of my employees that worked for me at the shoe store, and I was just hooked again. And I grew up doing it. I grew up doing a lot of it. But I always had this fear of ever stepping back in and doing boxing after I broke my neck. Like, I just had a big fear, like my
Yeah.
neck, I don't ever want to get punched. So I went there with intentions just to train. And I did their workouts, I did the bag work, I hit pads, and then I seen enough confidence in my performance that I went ahead and started sparring, and I'm doing the boxing thing, and I kind of threw weights to the side. And I was like, man, calisthenics. Because we were doing them in boxing. I'm like, man, these make me feel good. I'm doing just push-ups and dips and
yeah, all
pull-ups.
body weight stuff.
And man, it just started to feel better and better and better. So I dropped 20 pounds, like right away. But I felt stronger. I felt better. You know, I'm at like 145 pounds, 150 pounds, and I felt good.
yeah.
So then I never looked back. I kept doing calisthenics, and you know, I actually met a girl on my vacation, and this is 2008. Met a girl on vacation, and when I went back home to visit, and I ended up resigning from my shoe store and moving back home. And you know, this is the woman, this baby mama. So I do have a lot to thank her for. But you know, I never thought I would have a family. And then I meet a girl, and I had a reason to move home, and I'd been working at the shoe store, so I moved home, and I had money that I didn't have to go straight to work in another career. So I started training mixed martial arts because my stepsister, Sarah Patterson, she's actually a pro cage fighter. She signed me up for a cage fight when she found out I was moving home without asking me. So
She said you're doing
yeah,
this.
2009, she's like, hey, bro, I put you on the same card as me. I'm up for a title, and I got you a fight. I'm like, what? A fight? What? I don't want to fight. She's like, well, you've been boxing. And I'm like, and she knew I wrestled growing up some. And it gave me some serious momentum because I felt like there was such this urgency to get in the best shape of my life because my sister just signed me up to get in a cage and
Yeah.
fight somebody. And that was not my intention. I had broke my neck.
You were just doing boxing at this point, just kind of.
I just boxed and grew up wrestling. I lifted weights.
Yeah,
And I just converted to calisthenics probably 6 months previous.
that's funny.
And she's like, well, you know, everybody kind of by the time I was 20 years old, everybody knew that I was in working out. I worked out a lot, you know, and I got the pretty boy muscles and stuff. And, you know, it was already pretty known that I loved training. And, you know, my story with people that knew me kind of knew that that's what kind of crossed some of my wires.
Mhm.
But she signed me up for this cage fight, and I felt urgency to train harder than I ever have. And I went into a local gym and I sparred a few times. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know jujitsu. They taught me like a basic armbar escape, and I was out of my realm, and I didn't understand it then because a lot of the guys that I seen at the practice, I'm like, you guys weren't farm boys. You guys played video games. Or I was like, you guys didn't play sports. You got out of high school and wanted to be a fighter. I grew up riding horses and baling hay and wrestling, and so I felt like I had an edge, and I felt a little indestructible with my neck. So I had a bad attitude against a lot of kids that wanted to be cage fighters
Yeah.
that didn't grow up facing adversity.
Just kind of had this chip on
Like
your shoulder.
yeah, because I faced so much adversity. I had this, and I wouldn't say that I'm like better than you, because I knew that like, oh, you might look real good on pads, but let's let's just throw some bones around. And there was no, I guess, technique behind it. I
Yeah.
guess it was all just put my head down,
Who's
Rocky
tougher?
style. Yes, and it was. And I did my cage fight, and and I won in a one-sided fashion, but I was not happy with myself. Everybody pumped me up about it. I was not happy. I looked at it from an outside perspective, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much I don't know. I don't know how to throw kicks. I don't know any jujitsu. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that takedown looked ugly.
That's a very
Oh my
real
God, my
moment.
punches weren't even straight. What was it? Where were those coming from?
Mhm.
Like I had no. And I looked at it from like and if I were to educate myself on all kinds of things and martial arts and form and calisthenics and conditioning, and I looked at my body from an outside perspective, I was like, oh, I have so much work to do. And I have everybody in my ear saying, dude, you need to fight again. You need to fight again.
Mhm.
And I'm saying, I know, but look at me. I have so much work to do. And they're like, no, but you did really good. And I'm like, yeah, but I broke my neck. It's not worth the risk to just get in and race my car every weekend when I'd rather put my car in the garage and work on it,
Yeah.
right? And I really, my mother made me promise I would never fight again if I did that. And I told her, I was like, all right, Mom, I'll tell you, but if somebody ever called me out, on the street, I was like, I'm going to get in the cage before I just beat somebody's ass on the street. You know what I mean? That was just kind of my attitude. I was like, I'll just ask them to get in the cage. And they almost took that as an insult. But I did. I promised my mom I'd never fight again. For 14 years, I still get it. Every single week, I get people saying, you should fight. You should get in. You
Yeah.
should do this. Oh my God, you should. And I'm like, I invite martial artists. I love martial artists. I would love to combat dance is what I'll call it. I'll love to make friends with some high level guys, and I'll learn a lot. But what I find is I've just hurt myself so much doing martial arts.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's 100 miles, but 100 miles an hour all the time. But there's no long-term application for going in and getting in a cage and fighting somebody. So
No, it's hard on the
that's
body.
where I justify not being a fighter. But how much fun is it to box? How much fun is it to hit pads and do bag drills?
Yeah. Training
And then
is
wrestle
fun.
wrestle with your friends and learn these new techniques and do jujitsu flow rolls and do pummeling drills with wrestling and do takedown drills. That stuff's competitive. It's fun. It's challenging. Yes, there's variable for injury, but risk reward. If
Right.
it makes you feel good, go ahead. So I did this cage fight and I got out and I told myself I was like, I love this stuff. I love the conditioning. I love that you have to work on your horsepower, your gas mileage, your body mechanics, your technique.
Mhm.
And then I started looking at it from more of a health and wellness perspective, like martial arts. So when I was hitting the bag, I wouldn't just, go with what's comfortable and have a left jab and a right cross. I'm like, man, I want to take care of some muscular imbalances in my body with the martial arts. So when I look at everything, I'm like, man, I want my nervous system to work the same on this side as I do on that side.
Yeah.
And on a simple perspective, brush your teeth with your bad hand. Work a screwdriver with your bad hand. Then none of that stuff would have been aware to me if I didn't break my neck. Like my awareness for my nervous system.
Mhm.
Like I knew that like my right kick just kind of came naturally. My left kick, it was laggy. Like what the hell? My hip's tight. Why can't I turn my left kick? So those were like my projects. That was more my focus rather than being a fighter or anything like that. Or a fitness athlete. I just wanted to take care of like proper body mechanic issues, mechanical predispositions, and muscular imbalances,
Mhm.
right? And when you look at it, as people break things down with like strength training and cardio, and I always thought to myself, I was like, oh, I just think all that's a bunch of bullshit. You got to think about more biology and science-based material and think, man, you are biomechanically engineered to adapt to the lifestyle you live. So whether that's connective tissues, whether that's your respiratory system, your circulatory system, your nervous system, those are all things that need to be exercised. And life's too short to hop on a treadmill and label it as cardio. Life's too short to pick a day, 1 day a week, and do leg day. I mean, you need to move things every day in order for there to be a long-term progressive application behind
Yeah,
it.
you got to move the body. Movement is key. You can't be too static. And when people kind of get in these training ruts where they're doing the same thing all the time, yeah, then they are just creating imbalances.
Yeah, and so the message I try to get out to people is, I mean, real simple. Life is fucking beautiful. It is just a beautiful, and it's all about your attitude on it. Because if you're not a thankful person, then I mean, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. If you're not a healthy person, you're probably not going to be happy.
Yeah, dude, that affects your mood
That's
big
well,
time.
some people, I try to bring this up to a lot of clients and a lot of new members and a lot of people I meet is, if you've never looked it up, look up a wellness continuum. You ever looked up a wellness continuum?
No.
So
Maybe.
just to
Tell me.
keep this as a briefer description, it kind of correlates that in relativity, and you can relate your health and your wellness with your happiness,
Okay.
right? So most people and I'll use an example of like most people get me to the gym, like come into the gym. The reason why they come to me is they have a sign and a symptom. They have a sign or a symptom, and they don't feel their best. So I ask them, you feel your best? They're like, no. And I'm like, why? Let's figure this out. So their sign and symptom, if they don't come in and do something about it, that could turn into a disability.
Mm-hmm.
There's a back issue, a knee issue. You're eating too much crap food. Your high blood pressure. That's a sign and a symptom. High blood pressure is a sign or a symptom. The heart attack is the fucking disability, right? So we want to educate them. So when they come to me, I educate them. And then it's up to them if they want to grow.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because
You
that
gotta
sign
do
and
it. You
symptom is
can't do
going
it
to turn
for
into a
'em.
disability. They're going to be unhappy. And there's all kinds of things, outside influences that can knock you down. You can have a breakup that's going to knock you down. You're going to quit drinking water. You're going to get stressed out. Guess what? You're not going to be very healthy. You lose your appetite. You're stressed out. You get in a car accident. Guess what? You're disabled at the snap of a finger. Probably not going to be very happy about it.
Right.
So this is that wellness continuum. It has so many extremes, but as a project, you need to educate yourself. If you don't feel good, what is it? Why don't you feel good? There's probably a reason. It's the information age. What are you putting in your body? How much water you drink? What kind of movements do you do?
Yeah.
Do your feet hurt? Your ankles hurt? Your back hurts? Your knees hurt? Are you progressively doing things that can help it?
Yeah. Well, dude, the body has basic needs.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know, and
for
a lot,
sure.
A lot of people aren't meeting those, and I always say like, people think the body is so amazing. It's so adaptive. It's always trying to find homeostasis. It'll find a way to make things work.
Oh, yeah.
So you think that you feel well, and you probably, like a lot of people, they think they feel well, but they're 50 pounds overweight, or they're not getting enough sunlight, they're not drinking enough water, not enough activity, whatever the case may be. But they're like, no, I feel fine. But I always say, like, you don't know how good you can feel until you feel it. You know what I mean?
So on that subject of getting people to feel their best, that's like one of my mottos I throw people. Do you want to feel your best, right? And we move and improve, and you heard me say Operation Inspiration at the beginning, right?
Yeah, you're very
So
inspirational. Dude.
with all the physical training that people see, and they see all this crazy stuff I post on Facebook, and I get a lot of people that are scared away from my gym or scared from me because they're like, I can't do any of that stuff. But what they don't realize is that's like the fruits of my labor. That's like
Right.
me working on my hot rod for 15 years, right? 14 years. I broke my neck. I've been working on this hot rod that got wrecked, right? Been working on it, fixing it up, put a new engine in it, put all the, I put a turbo, I put wheels, new suspension. You never going to take that thing out on the road? Does that make sense?
Right.
You just not going to ever take that car and go drive it? I'm not saying drive the shit out of it. Go race it every weekend. But have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Go see how fast it'll go. To burn out every once in a while.
Yeah.
So when people see my posts, that's like me just taking my car to the track. They
Yeah.
don't see the 60 hours a week that I put in doing yoga and joint mobility stuff. And I try to do, some conventional bodybuilding and some progressive applications behind so many different kinds of movement methodologies. I have so many things that I just love to do. I love riding bikes, and I love swinging kettlebells and just
Yeah.
grabbing a pair of dumbbells every day, or moving a barbell, whether it's an Olympic lift or just, hitting a light bench press session. That stuff can be fun, but it has its place,
Right.
right?
I think people who are going to be deterred by that, like there's a bigger issue.
Well,
There's something with them that they don't have a confidence in themselves, or like now they're
exactly.
comparing themselves. Like I mean, compare like if you start comparing yourself to
Well,
other people, I
that's when
mean,
you get into like the personality profiling, and you
yeah,
can kind of you can I've learned to kind of some people take constructive criticism, right? Some people take me, you know, talking them up, and that's okay. I got to give them a bunch of compliments to get them motivated. The other person, I just got to talk a bunch of shit to them,
yeah.
right?
Everybody has something
So,
different.
so in this Operation Inspiration, I try to make people, when somebody comes to me, I immediately hold myself responsible. Or if I meet somebody, as you know, Adam, if you add me on Facebook, I am going to reach out to you and I'm going to say, hey, let's come in and have some fun. Let me change your life.
Yeah,
Let me,
man.
let me, let me just, you might, I mean, you could be somebody that loves life already or somebody that doesn't love life. That doesn't matter to me. I just want you to have more fun and give you some life lasting knowledge and
Yeah,
tools. Because, say somebody comes in with a headache, the first thing I'm like, well, how much water did you drink yesterday?
yeah.
And
Well,
then they're like, "Oh yeah, I didn't drink water," or they're like, or I'm like, "What'd you eat yesterday?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I did eat a box of cookies last night." And I'm like, "Well, don't complain to me if you're gonna make shitty decisions."
right.
That's why people pay me. Is I start to make them aware of the decisions they make and how they affect how they feel. Because a lot of people do these mindless things or
Yeah,
these mindless activities, or you don't realize if you have a sedentary job and you have to sit at a desk, if you don't make it a daily chore to maintain some structural integrity in your body and some tissue strength. If you want to age gracefully, it takes work.
yeah, dude. I mean, moving into advanced life, advanced age, like you can't be
Not
lazy.
even,
Yeah,
not
you have
even.
to
Well,
live with intent.
I'll put it on the same spectrum. The same philosophy goes. If you want to maintain a high level of fitness, and I feel like I'm starting to hit a higher level of fitness than I ever thought imaginable. But what people don't see, they see me racing my car. They don't see all the maintenance it takes to keep that high level of fitness. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh yeah,
So, yes, there's so much hard work in aging gracefully because we all have shit, chinks in our armor, injuries along the way, or things that aren't going to work right, or health issues, or, you twisted your ankle when you were 10 years old and blew your ankle out, and it's always going to hang with you. So, you're going to have to work around stuff like that. So, aging gracefully can be a chore because just that simple lower body injury can cause like a asymmetrical weight shift later on in life and give you all kinds of back problems. How much worse are those back problems going to be if you weren't trying to stay on top of things?
yeah. I think you have to put in work. I don't know how hard it necessarily has to be. You know what I
No,
mean?
it doesn't have to
Because
be hard,
right,
but the consistency behind the practice,
absolutely.
or
The
and,
daily
and if you want
practice is
to,
important.
daily practice, and obviously if you want to accelerate said practice and results, then you put some passion behind the shit.
Absolutely. And
So
you're
I'm here
very
to make it.
passionate,
I'm
dude.
here to make it fun.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So that's the message I want to get through to people. Is it does not have to be. You don't have to go to the gym and kick your ass and make yourself miserable, or if you miss the gym, you don't have to go in and make up for lost workouts, or
Right.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just it's the consistency is a beautiful thing. Consistency over time will equal results. If you don't feel 100%, don't go into the CrossFit workout and try to set your PR on a day that you don't feel very good.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
CrossFit has its place. Conventional bodybuilding has its place. It's all great. It's all great. But if you just stick to simple things like that, it does not have a long-term application. What's more long-term applicable than anything is flopping out of your bed on the floor and learning how to just stretch a little bit.
Yeah.
Learning how to get in the habit of drinking some water and eating a good meal every morning.
Yeah.
You don't feel good, go take your shoes off and go walk in your yard. You get grounded, right?
Yeah, dude. I
Take
do
your shoes off
do
and
a
get
lot of
grounded,
grounding.
man.
Lots
Yeah.
of grounding.
Well, people have all these, impingements and problems. A lot of it is they kept shoes on their whole life.
Yeah, those are just casts for your feet.
Here, remember this. Shoes are made for people. People are not made for shoes.
That's true.
Keep that in mind.
That's a good way to put it,
Yeah,
man.
for sure. And shoes are made for people. People aren't made for shoes.
Yeah.
And, same thing with chairs. I think chairs were horrible. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have invented chairs.
Dude, right now I'm sitting in an office and like I go on daily walks. I go on daily barefoot walks.
I see that.
And man, but people stare like they don't like it. Like it makes people uncomfortable, man. Like, and I have to do it. I have to get
Hey,
up. I have to move. I
yeah.
can't. I won't be there forever. This is just like a temporary thing while I'm working like the master plan. But people like that, they want you to be unhealthy and
Hey.
unhappy like them. It's
Hey, Adam,
crazy
if
shit.
people don't think you're crazy, Zig Ziglar, right?
Yeah.
People don't think you're crazy. your dreams aren't big enough.
Yeah,
That's plain
true.
and simple. And
Yeah.
you know how many times I've dealt with, I go to the park with my kids and I see all these other parents will sit on their phones or they'll just sit at the park and exist. And I try to be doing cartwheels and handstands and, doing pull-ups on the monkey bars, and I'll get parents that'll yell at me for it. Hey, you're going to get my kids hurt. And, I try to have the best attitude as possible. I try not to make people mad, but I'll just be like, hey, you ought to try it. It'll get you pumped up, get your blood flowing. And beyond that is, being a father is huge. So not just this Operation Inspiration, that message that I'm trying to get through to people is my two children, Avery, 7 years old, and Eli's 4 years old. They give me so much strength and motivation. Like, I have to set myself to such a higher standard now. I realistically think my kids think I'm a superhero. They really do, because I just try to do, anytime that they're not happy, I just try to barter with them to make them happy. And I don't necessarily give them their way. And we don't always want to give them their way. But when I look back at how I grew up, I don't look up to just my parents. You know what I mean? I look up to all these other people in my life that I'm like, they did all these little things that were amazing.
Yeah.
And I try to hit as many of those on the head, being their parent or their father, as I can. And I'm like, why do I just want to sit and watch them play at the park, or do I want to run around and chase them too, or we'll make it an obstacle course?
Yeah.
So, the value of simple things like breakfast and hitting trails and doing fitness is, I see the investment in the kids. The kids don't see what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but I see the investment in it, and I'm showing them how to enjoy life on a simple perspective of just activity and health and wellness.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big thing, especially with my kids. I do the same. I try to just instill them with like a lot of these just principles
Yeah, for sure.
that they're going to carry them far in life, and just make it easy now. You know what I mean? 'Cause
I
I had to learn it late. You know what I mean?
It's been such a shock at how much wisdom being a parent brings.
Yeah.
How much like reflection, like you just I have moments every day, every single day. Whether it's just a time that, we ran a 5K last weekend. My 4-year-old ran the whole thing,
That's awesome.
almost to the point he wanted to cry. And I was like running with him. My daughter's ahead. She's 7. She ran the 5K too with one of her friends. He's 4 years old. He's running. He's like, Dad, it hurts. I want to walk. I'm like, well, walk, dude. I was like, but you just ask yourself, you gonna feel better if you quit and give up, or you gonna feel better if you just keep going and try your best, buddy?
Yeah.
And that kid kept running. He's 4 years old. On a simple perspective, I asked him. I just gave him the ultimatum. How are you gonna feel when you get done if you could just give up on yourself right now?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying don't. I mean, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. Or how you gonna feel you get done with this race and you're like, man, I gave it everything I had. I
Yeah.
tried my absolute best.
Yeah.
So we have, a half mile of this race left, 800 meters, and there's some ladies coming up behind us that knew Eli. He was slowing down. He was struggling. This is a 5K, 3 miles for a 4-year-old.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting. We took the dogs and everything. He blew my mind already. So these ladies are like, Eli, you're not gonna let a little girl pass you, are you? And my son just hit another gear. I mean, he just hit a whole nother gear. Like, that was just like like I just witnessed something.
Yeah. Something clicked there.
Yeah. So he was out on I call it, to this day, I call it ghosting it. That's when I'm doing a workout or a long run and I'm thinking about something else.
Okay.
Or if I run into somebody, or if, like, say I'm running on the road and one of my clients pulls up next to me in a car, I'm going to forget I'm kind of tired and I'm going to kind of focus on the conversation and keep running.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they told him, they're like, Eli, you're not going to let girls in. He hit this new gear. And we went around the corner and we can see the finish line. It's about 600 meters. I mean, it's quite a ways, quarter mile away. And he starts slowing down. And I'm like, buddy, we're almost there. And he's like about to cry. And then everybody at the finish line seen him and started yelling for him. So he went from these girls, like he's about to quit. These girls get behind him. They talk to him. He speeds up and he's about to cry. And I almost feel bad. I'm like, man, am I a bad dad for making him run this 3-mile race? I thought it would be fun. He's about to cry. But when at the finish line they started cheering for him, he felt no pain. The kid opened up. And I yelled at him. I said, run like the Flash, buddy. You got this.
Yeah.
We got done. And it was such a good feeling to just see how just having other people motivate and be there. And I'm not forcing him to do anything, but people are just encouraging him. And you see that.
Yeah.
So when I when I'm a trainer and I'm at the gym, I see the encouragement I get from my kids and how much it means to me to see other people encourage my kids and me encourage my kids. And, I go do wellness week for the upper elementary and the middle school here at Eldon, and I volunteer to do it. I don't charge them or anything. I just love to go out there and encourage these kids because they think I'm so cool, and if I don't have their attention, I just do like a handstand or a backflip, and they're immediately like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. If you guys work hard and you chase your dreams and you focus on health and wellness, anything is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm supposed to be paralyzed right now, and here I'm here helping you guys. So when it comes to that encouragement factor, when I get somebody in the door as a client, don't get me wrong, I'll get the person that I'll booger them up. I'll let them get crazy and work out real hard. But most people, I'm just like, hey, slow down your mind. We just want to practice some stuff. We get some momentum going, learn new things. You have a lot to learn about yourself that you don't realize. And that's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
try to get through to people is like, hey, slow down and feel what's going on a daily basis. Don't just do the workout road on the board or do what workout you have planned. Lay down and see how things feel and just start, whether that starts with movement. And then some of the, like you were talking movement methodologies, I am pretty set in the way that I train people, but that's just because I want to develop a consistent habit. So for there to be a long-term application, you need to learn how to take care of yourself because
Absolutely.
I am not going to be here every day for you. I mean, I just don't have the energy to do it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I love it. My passion is personal training and group fitness, but I can't be a slave to my income for that long. Does
Right.
that make sense? So I need to get my message through on a bigger picture. These lives that I'm touching now, they're going to do the work for me because I'm going to put so much time into their daily habits and trying to make them feel better and know how to be accountable for not only themselves but the people around them. Because
Yeah.
if you feel better, Adam, and you find you're going to motivate all your friends. Like how many of your friends have probably been like, dude, I tried that whole grounding thing. I've been taking my shoes off.
Yeah, I'm always just, peaking conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And you said people were looking at you crazy. Well, you know what? If it makes you feel good, tell them they're crazy. Say, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. You should try this shit.
Dude, I'll have conversations with people. We had a jujitsu like summit. We had a whole bunch of black belts coming from out of town. A few people got promoted and whatnot. And one of the guys there, he normally trains at like the main school, Vagi school. So I don't ever train with him, but I guess he works in that area. He's like, dude, I drive by, I see you walking all the time. So it's just like the amount
Yeah.
of people that just drive by and just
Oh,
see
it's
that.
crazy.
It's just like, what the fuck is he
Yeah,
doing?
so
Walking
you're,
barefoot.
and that stuff's got to excite you.
Oh, I
Like
love
somebody,
it.
So, so even if I had a light day of training, this is kind of like my whole complex. Breaking my neck made me crazy. I'll put that in hashtags on my posts sometimes. And there's so much more to it is I could take a rest day or I could just relax. I love to build things because I need other hobbies other than just, working out. But every time I go to do a workout or I go run or I go to the park or I go hit trails, I meet people. And I meet these people and they're just motivated. And they're not motivated because I'm in shape or I have muscles. They're motivated because they see me just working my ass off.
Yeah.
And I'm working my ass off to feel better.
Well, passion is contagious.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And, people want that passion. And I love meeting people and just telling them my story because some people might think I'm just like a vain fitness junkie. If you never met me and I'm like ripping my shirt off every gym and I'm like flexing, I love pre-workout. That's probably one of my biggest flaws. I mean, I do.
Is that your vice? Is pre-workout?
Yeah.
You
Well, I
get-
wouldn't
get
call
all
it a
jacked.
vice. It's kind of turned into a joke. But I will say that I'm a very high energy person as it is.
Oh yeah.
So I can work out I could do 4, 5, 6 hours worth of workouts in a day and eat all day. And, I might be dragging butt a little bit. And you put a little caffeine in my system and some stuff that, alters my mindset and gets me pumped. Man, I feel like I get wild. And it's been kind of a joke, but it is. I create that kind of excitement for people that, these little things can create excitement.
Yeah.
Like you liked my post that I put wrist wraps. Like my wrist wraps were wearing out and I was at the CrossFit gym. I was like, man, I need new wrist wraps. And I went up front to buy a Fit Aid from them at CrossFit Magic Dragon down at the lake and they had new wrist wraps. And they were lime green, the color that I wanted and everything. And I bought them there and it saved me. That created so much excitement for my workout right there because I was immediately bummed. I was like, man, my wrist might hurt because my wrist wraps were bad. they're making me lift some heavy ass shit in this CrossFit gym, and I'm like, oh, my wrists are gonna hurt if I go too high. So it kind of limited my workout because my wrist wraps were wearing out. I didn't want to go as heavy.
Yeah.
Does it kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Get these new wraps, and I almost felt
Y-
this whole new surge of energy.
Yeah.
It's like a new pair of running shoes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you gonna get on the road?
Get excited about
You
it.
get this new Fitbit Blaze watch you got, man. Never in your life have you ever counted your steps until you get this new watch, and then you're like, you start setting goals, and you start being more active, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, my resting heart rate, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So these little things, like whether it's a watch, a pair of shoes, wrist wraps, create excitement, right?
You seem to have this deep, just gratitude for life, and,
I
and,
have-
and
it's
understandably
so-
why. You know what I mean? I don't know how many people really go through that type of intense struggle at
Well,
a very early
I wouldn't even,
age.
I know a lot of it was the broken neck. And I know my kids motivate me a lot. But if I were to like sum it up, I'm not trying to like vent and get on some mushy level on you.
Hey,
but
brother, this is the place.
but yeah, like, we might have to hug it out after this. But for real, I feel like, I'm not pulling the whole having daddy issue cards, daddy issues, broken neck. I'm a little confused. I've had a challenge of faith and pride with the whole broken heart thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, there's so much. Life is beautiful, and there's so many little things to enjoy. And you might not be able to feel your best, but every single day, every single moment, there are things you can do to feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Just that simple. Like it. I feel like shit. I wake up lethargic. I'm depressed. Say you fell in love with somebody and they just walked out of your life, or you had a misfortune. You had a financial blow. These kind of things stress you out. These
Yeah.
things they affect your mental state, whether it's misfortune or being misled, whatever it may be, any kind of bad luck or bad juju, bad energy, anything. You just have to realize, like, maybe I just need a glass of water and a walk.
Yeah.
I
It-
guess I'll feel, because what are you gonna do? You gonna feel better if you just lay in bed and think about how effing miserable you are?
Yeah.
You're gonna
There's.
feel better if you just drink some H2O, which is the essence. That's some magical shit. Water is amazing.
It really
People
is.
don't even drink. I know people that don't even drink water, and I wish I was allowed to slap people across the face and say, "Get your shit together."
Yeah.
But water and a walk. You know what I mean? My clients have had bad luck along the years, and I'm like, "Hey, man, just drink some water, go on a walk, stretch out a little bit,
Yeah.
or come in and put some gloves on and hit the bag a little bit, get your blood flowing. Don't self-destruct. I'm not telling you to self-destruct, but you're gonna feel better. Go eat a good meal." How many people get stressed out and they still eat real healthy?
Yeah. I mean,
How can
once
you
you
be
start
stressed out?
feeling bad, dude, the
Yeah,
food's the first to go. Man. You
exactly.
start eating real bad.
So that, like, food is, and that's how I know whether I'm sick or I'm stressed, is my appetite will, like, kill out. And everybody, I'm not perfect. I deal with some emotional instabilities, but what I do know is I'll do things like a glorious meal prep. Like, if I'm feeling down, I go to the grocery store and I buy some good food. You know what? That's good sign. That's like good eating. Or I go, like I said, I don't self-destruct, but I will drink water. I'll go pet my puppies. I got 2 dogs. I love my dogs. Simple things like that make me feel good. I go build things. I build things, that gives me so much. I mean, I can't explain the mental state. It gives me momentum to go into the rest of my day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, just accomplishing things. You know
That's
what I mean?
that right there. You just labeled it. Yeah, any kind of accomplishments. I'm huge on making your bed.
Oh, dude, every morning,
Wake up, make your bed.
create the momentum.
Yeah. So, because if you don't. I mean, it's almost like a place for you to put things too. You get
Yeah.
your bed made.
Yeah, I just think
fold
having
your clothes.
structure and order is super important.
For sure, it is. Now, I do have a flaw in my game, and that's dishes. I love to cook. It's hard for me to stop and do dishes all the time. Like, if I'm going to go do a deadlift and pull-up workout, I'm like, man, I don't want my calluses to get all fucked up, so I'll kind of put them off. But, I'm a single dad. I think I have the right to kind of leave some dishes here and there. But
right, but just in your daily life, like you have a structure to it.
exactly,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
So,
Whether it's like a little task like the dishes, like that's kind of arbitrary. But like an overall structure to your life, you know what I mean? Like you have these routines in your day that keep you on track.
so that's where, like, you're lucky if you have some obsessive compulsive disorder. You don't want to think that that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. You know what I mean? That can.
Everything to a degree, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
for
everything on
sure.
the spectrum.
Oh yeah, man. I'm sure. I don't know if I've actually been diagnosed, but I'm sure I have some attention deficit disorder. I'm a very, very hyperactive person, but And I really relate a lot of it because I have so much excitement for life, and I have all these ideas going through my head all the time, and all these things I want to do. I just don't have the time for it. There's not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
I'm the I seen this meme a while back, the sleepless elite. It says that some people just don't require sleep. I am 99% positive that's me. I mean, I'm so excited to get on and get gains the next day, and I'm just gonna label it as gains. Get after it.
Hmm.
You know, I could go to bed at 11:30 midnight. I'm trying to cram as many meals as I can and water as I can, and I gotta be up at 4 a.m. to get my kids and load them in the Jeep, and I take them from the Jeep, I take them into the gym, I carry them upstairs in the gym, and man, we're grinding by 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I got classes.
So you're just always going.
Yep, and
huh?
then and if I have a break, I'm pretty much take my kids, I get them ready for school, I take them to school, and I come back to the gym.
Yeah.
Or on my Tuesday and Thursdays that I don't have I go to CrossFit. I don't have to go do those workouts. I get like 50, 60 hours of fitness at my place, but that change in environment, those new people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then on the whole perspective, I try to get a lot of my members to get out of the fucking gym. Go get in some nature.
Yeah.
Go ride a bicycle.
That's the best way to feel better
You know
is
what I
get in
mean?
nature.
I'll ask somebody, when's the last time you did a cartwheel out in your yard? Just go do some cartwheels. If you don't know how to do a cartwheel, learn how to do one.
Yeah.
It'll feel good.
Where do you find all this energy, man?
Where do I find it all?
Yeah, I mean, or actually, let me ask you.
I make it.
Let me
I
ask you a
make it,
different
Adam. I
question.
make this energy.
That's not a good enough
There-
question.
there are
When
times-
do you slow down? Is probably a better question.
What are you talking about?
Do you
Slow down?
When's your downtime? What do you like to do for downtime? Do you have downtime? Is it always just going? Because I know when we talked on the phone the other day, you're like, dude, I've already fucking worked out for like 7 hours today.
when you
I've been up for
when
24
you-
hours.
when you
I'm jacked on
messaged me-
pre-workout.
when you messaged me, I actually was that was a Sunday, and I get rid of my kids go with their mother at noon, and I have the whole evening off until Monday morning. I got to go in at 4 a.m. The whole evening off, and you'd think that out of 60 hours a week of training and CrossFit, and I try to get 20 miles a week running, that I would just want to relax, right? But that's not what gives me energy. Sitting at the house would give me anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play with my dog so much, and if I turn on the TV, I'm gonna get anxiety within 20 minutes. I take a nap, I wake up thinking, man, there's so much shit I could have done.
Yeah, I don't like
That
taking naps.
sleep did not help me out. Cool, I might have felt tired, but I drank some water, I ate a good meal, I went out to eat by myself, I ate a good meal, I came to the gym, and I did some stuff I don't normally do. I don't think that powerlifting is health and wellness, right? I don't think it's like health and wellness, but it has its place. Who doesn't want to get strong? If you don't pick up heavy shit, you're never gonna be able to pick up heavy shit.
Yeah.
And if you don't practice picking up heavy shit, you might hurt yourself picking up heavy shit.
Yeah.
So I came in just to work on some basic, and this is like my staple. Ever since breaking my neck and my back and having some issues, I've always been kind of afraid of it. So I came in and I deadlifted and back squatted and I
love
bench
deadlifts.
pressed.
I love deadlifts.
Oh yeah, I'm addicted to them, but I try to prescribe weights. I'm not like a PR kind of guy. I'm like
Yeah.
a hey, let's drill it at this weight. Let's never go across this weight. And if you're feeling really good, let's cap it here. This is your challenge weight. So I come in and I did all this powerlifting stuff, and I went home and I drank some water, and I was like, fuck, it's like 5:30 in the evening. I felt good. 4:30 in the evening. So I went on a run, and I was actually just got done with like the last 800 meters. I tried to open up on my 5-mile run. I think I ran 6 miles. I planned on 2 or 3, and I ended up running like 6 miles.
Yeah.
Because I had one person call me on my run, and I kind of accidentally took the wrong turn. I was in my mode. And then I was on my way back, and I'm thinking, I got on my feet. I ran a lot farther than I wanted. That's when I brought up to you. I was like, man, I'm going to take off my shoes and tag you in a story saying, I'm going to get grounded. And I'm
Yeah.
going to be like, Adam, I was like, I got you, bro. I
Yeah,
know
dude.
how you're feeling. I was
Hey.
going to take off my shoes after my run. I was going to walk around in my yard and kind of do some barefoot sprints and,
Mm-hmm.
ground myself because my feet were hurting from me lacing up my shoes. I run in barefoot shoes, but it's still not the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's still something in between my foot and the ground. So I was thinking about grounding you, and I literally, when I looked at my phone on my, I'm walking back up my road to my house after my run, you messaged me about a podcast, and that's when I was like, just call me, because I was way too sweaty and worked up, and I just I just had to put you on my headphones as I was walking up the road.
Yeah.
You talked to me when I was, covered in sweat with my headphones in, and that was one of my nights off by myself. And it's, I've been really motivated for you to come and everything, man. I've been trying to, badger you here and there to come, but that's just because I see that you're passionate about your practice, and
Yeah, no, this is a cool space.
I'm very confident, in my training methods will help anybody and everybody. Where like I'm gonna use your jujitsu, for example, right? I think it's an amazing thing, but your jujitsu is not necessarily gonna help me with my practice. Does that make sense? But my practice is gonna help you with your jujitsu.
I hear what you're saying.
Does that kind of like I'm not saying like oh my practice has nothing to do with jujitsu. It's just movement improvement, improve the way you feel, your connection with your body,
Yeah.
your balance between mobility and stability. And if you're progressive, you have a progressive application to improve the way you move and get stronger in certain areas and take care of impingements.
Right. Well,
You're going to go out and do jujitsu and you're going to feel better.
yeah. Well,
But if
jujitsu is a very specific activity.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. But, and I don't mean to label jujitsu and use that as an example. But
I see
if
what
I
you're
were to
saying.
go to practice and I roll, it's like, hey, I just want to get good cardio. I'm going to go roll with my buddies. Well, accidents happen. Like I've broke a finger just catching it in a shirt, and I didn't even feel a break, and it completely right angled,
Ooh, shit.
just straight to the right. I thought I had a marker in my hand. It felt like, but it was my finger, and I caught it in a shirt. That's not going to help my fitness.
No.
Does that make sense?
It will not.
So, or like
will
not
not.
tapping quick enough, right?
yeah,
Having
absolutely.
like not tapping quick enough, you can. Somebody throws you an arm bar, your ulnar collateral ligament gets tweaked,
Mhm.
right, or torn. That's something that could. You're not gonna be able to do push-ups the next day.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to help the body.
So, and the same thing is if I work out too hard, it's not gonna help my jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If I made somebody do 1,000 burpees and, pick up deadlifts until they couldn't walk straight,
Yeah.
and you go to do jiu-jitsu the next day, you're not gonna feel like that helps your performance.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have to have a balance.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's the whole promoting the movement improvement, operation inspiration is think about the end game. Think
Yeah.
about the end game. How do you want to feel? Like there is some, you do have to make some sacrifices. I am trying to hit a pretty high level of fitness, and I'm sure that I'm sacrificing some certain things in my later ages in life. So I'm trying to do it smarter. I'm trying not to like push personal records. I try to keep my awareness. I don't feel like I'm 100% Tony. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
still
it's
feel
like-
like you're able
it's
to
like
do more.
Adams had injuries, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So
Absolutely.
and the older you get, obviously they remind you here and there. But don't be afraid of injuries. Injuries in the gym or in that movement specific environment. Injuries are a beautiful thing because they will teach you. They will teach you not to do things again, right? They'll increase your awareness. Just on a normal person, day-to-day aspect. Somebody picks up something heavy and they throw their back out. I guarantee they're going to be more aware of how they pick things up from then on. Especially if they put their back out real bad.
Yeah. Sometimes you learn the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to necessarily be afraid of those, but let those kind of build. Those are who you are. Those chinks in your armor are what made you who you are. That's what that gave you the wisdom. I label it as fitness maturity. Fitness maturity, right?
Yeah.
I had none of that 10 years ago. You put pre-workout in my system 10 years ago, and I would go work out with guys way stronger than me, and I might have thrown a weight that wasn't comfortable for me, whether it was bench press or back squat, and I'll be like, "You spot me?
Yeah.
You're gonna keep this thing from crushing me? Cool, I'll get under it."
Yeah.
That's not fitness maturity.
It's really not. I think that's why it's key to have coaches. So whenever
sure.
when you aren't mature, so that way
Yeah.
they can prevent you from
Yeah,
or
and not
try to help you.
and not
have
everybody
those.
has that luxury of having a coach. Not everybody knows that they should really go need a coach.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know what
a
I mean?
shame.
There's a lot of these.
Coaches need coaches.
It's hard for me not to label different training types and like call them out, but I mean, you will. You can't just get a certification and think that you know all about health and wellness is so broad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah.
Like you said, you've been learning constantly for how many years?
Over the
it's-
past decade.
And
just-
the longer you're in it, the more you realize like, man, I don't know anything.
Yeah, the more you learn, you're
Don't
just
get me
like,
wrong,
"Fuck, dude, I don't know
I know some
anything."
cool shit. I really do. I know some life-changing shit. I sell it. I sell my energy, and I sell my knowledge. That's what I do. I sell my inspiration. I give people these tools that they can take with them. They can take what they want, and whether they use them, that is up to them.
Right.
But if you use them and you find your niches and what works for you and you're consistent, that consistency over time, you can really improve the quality of your life in a big way.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just your internal health with food. That long-term application, you start eating healthier and you start learning. Ignorance is bliss. If you don't know on a cellular level what food does for your body, then ignorance is bliss. You don't know you're doing anything wrong. But if you get
Yeah.
educated, guess what? I guarantee you're going to make better decisions.
Yeah. Well, I hope
It's
so.
like on a simple predispositions. You have high blood pressure. Quit eating salt. Don't be an asshole. Quit eating salt. Right?
I don't know about that one.
I know.
It's funny.
Well, to say like diabetes, right?
Well, it's funny. We
Get
brought
rid
that
of the
up.
refined sugar.
Yeah, definitely get rid of the refined sugar. It's funny you brought up the salt because actually,
Salt is necessary.
well, I started talking about this on a previous podcast. And I didn't explain it very well, so you just presented me with the
Perfect.
perfect
Let's
opportunity
do
to
it.
explain it. So there's a great book called The Salt Fix, and I can't remember the name of the author, but it was a pharmacist. And essentially, what his argument was in the book is that humans developed in or near salt water, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
where we come from. So we actually have a pretty high need for salt.
For sure.
And his argument was just like, we tend to need more salt, not less. And the whole idea of less salt tends to cause more issues. And he was giving quite a few good examples within the book. But that's his overall argument, is that we need more salt than you would think. And
Well,
tends to
yeah,
be
I
healthier.
understand that, but I meant on the spectrum of like the foods that you get in today's day and age.
The foods that you get, for sure, the
they're gonna get
processed,
you
the refined.
fucked up. They might
yeah.
taste good, but you're gonna get fucked
Yeah,
up.
the refined carbohydrates, the processed foods. Yeah, I mean, just the quality of. I think because like a calorie isn't a calorie, right? The quality of that calorie is
Mhm.
going to make all of
Well,
the
that's like-
difference.
I get really frustrated with if it fits in my macros, right?
Yeah.
I get really frustrated with that. Or if somebody's like, "Oh, I've been doing the keto diet." My first question when somebody says, "I've been doing the keto diet," I was like, "Well, do you even know what ketosis is?"
Yeah, have you checked?
I was
Are
like,
you in
because before you
ketosis?
do some kind of diet, yeah, like figure that out. That's been around for thousands and thousands. I mean, that's just an energy system that we aren't glucose-based environment. We don't have a glucose-based environment unless we create it, right? So your body's going to have to resort to those fats and turn them into fuels.
Yeah, I mean that's like that metabolic flexibility that we were talking about. a
Yeah,
little bit
for sure.
earlier.
And it takes a lot of practice. People have different cravings, and I don't try to drastically change anybody's diet. I
Mhm.
usually just try to make them aware. Like I had a new guy come in last night, and he came in this morning too, back to back, which is pretty cool that he came
Nice.
in back to back. And he worked out last night, and this is how my coaching starts, right, with his nutrition. I go, "Hey, you eat good last night?" He's like, "Well, yeah." I'm like, "Well, what'd you eat?" He's like, "Eggs, and I had some bacon and some milk." So I didn't say anything, and I'm like, "Well, that's the I'm just trying to figure out how he fuels his body, so then I can educate myself on his eating habits and help him make tweaks,
Mhm.
right?" And I was like, "Well, you ever looked up and seen what is all in your milk?" Or I'm like, "Hey, what about?" And I asked him what he ate this morning. He said he didn't eat anything. I was like, "Well, get some raw almonds on hand and some blueberries." And instead of me down talking on what he was eating, right? And I'm not saying eggs and bacon and milk is bad, but there is a lot better materials you can get to fuel your workouts. And for me to start this change with him, I'm not going to say, "Hey, quit eating that. Eat
Yeah, I mean, you
this."
don't want to like just shame
No.
him for what he's doing.
No, not at all. I'm just going to be like, "Hey, you ought to try getting some raw almonds in your diet. Hey, you ought to try to get some blueberries. You ever eat avocados throughout the day? Those are healthy fats." You know what I mean? And I start saying stuff like that.
Little suggestions.
But yeah, and those suggestions, and then later on, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, I'm like, "What'd you eat for dinner?" He's like, "Well, I had a piece of salmon, and I had a salad. That superhero salad you told me about."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I got all kinds of the alkaline, leafy green vegetables and stuff, and the salmon, and
Mhm.
I ate 8 raw almonds." And they start to change the way because I just make it aware to them that, man, you have so much control over the way you feel and what you eat and
Yeah.
your movement. If your back hurts, don't think you got to go to the chiropractor. I don't like somebody says that their back hurts. My first question for them, seriously, my first question, I was like, "Well, have you been stretching every day the last week?" "No." Oh.
Yeah.
So your back hurts, but you're not stretching. Will you explain that to me? Because I'm like, if my back hurts, I'm gonna lay down and stretch.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes. Or
Mhm.
if somebody has a headache, I'm like, "Have you been drinking enough water?"
Yeah. How much water do you
That's
drink?
that chronic dehydration is a huge lead for just joint pain and headaches.
Absolutely.
So just a couple times of me saying that, I don't have to keep asking them every time. Because after a year, my client knows not to tell me they have a headache unless they went out and drank last night or something.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And they know.
Because they know what your response will be.
Oh, it's so fun. Like, I love being a trainer. It's like even like I get ladies. I had a ladies group, a couple years ago. I had a girl came in and laid down on my mat, and she's like, and it's 5:30 in the morning. We're about to start working out. She came in and laid up and curled in a ball on my floor. And I'm
Hangover.
like, yeah, it's like, well, no, she wasn't. It was kind of hungover. It was a Girl Scout cookie hangover.
Oh.
So get this, they're trying to lose weight all the time, and I try to like, hey, quit thinking about weight loss and thinking about performance. You perform better, you're gonna reach your goals quicker than just trying to watch that number on the scale, right? So we want to improve the way we move, and if we do that, you will improve your body mass index, and if you're eating correctly, stuff like that. So we try not to focus on the actual weight because it's a psychology block. We want to focus on, like, day one, you don't know how to bear crawl.
Yeah.
2
let's
weeks
just
later,
focus
you
on
learn how to
feeling
make,
better, moving
or like
better.
I video you squatting on day one, and I video you squatting a year later. Like that's the kind of stuff I promote.
Yeah.
Well, so she's laying on the floor, 5:30 in the morning, and she's like, I'm like, what's wrong, Lindsay? Or she's like, Girl Scout cookies. I was like, it's all right. I was like, that's one of my weaknesses too. I was like, I'll eat some cookies.
Fuck
She's
up
like,
a box of cookies.
well, that's
bro.
what she said. Hold on. So this is where I was very supportive of her bad decision, right? And I go, Lindsay, you got to feel good for feeling bad. You feel bad because you ate that box of cookies. That's a good thing. There's people that don't feel bad about that, right? And she's like, okay,
That's good
it
perspective.
was 2 boxes. That's what she said. Right after I tried to make her feel better. And then my demeanor changed. I said, Lindsay, get the fuck up and grab a jump rope. Let's clean your guts out. So I went from like trying to coddle her and emotionally comfort her for her bad decision to 2 boxes. You really didn't think you had to work out in the morning? You didn't realize. You're like, Tony's going to be pissed.
So you just didn't care.
No, yeah. And then I immediately was like, yeah, just that. So you want me to take you seriously, you got to take me seriously.
Yeah.
So and I've really developed that vibe as a trainer. Like, I'm pretty hardcore. I mean, if somebody cancels a workout, it's one thing. I'll be like, oh, bummer. 6 months later, and they continue to cancel workouts and stuff, I'll send them a middle finger emoji and a thumbs down. And they know I don't mean, like, insulting. I don't mean, like, F you. They'll laugh because they're like, oh, shit. He's just like
disappointed.
yeah, I'm disappointed. So I just send them a middle finger or a disappointed face
Yeah.
or a thumbs down, and
Yeah.
I get my point through. And it's like, if I want to hold myself accountable and really care about the way that you feel, you got to care about what I'm teaching you. And you
Right.
got to apply some of these tools because if I spend a year with a client and I see they continue to just self-destruct in certain ways or they don't use these tools, I don't necessarily develop a bad attitude, but I just stop trying to hold myself accountable for that aspect of their life. Like if you just can't get your diet together and you come in here and grind, I appreciate you. I love that you come in and grind. But if you're going to constantly, like if you complained about your weight loss, I would literally answer with, I was like, well, I try to tell you to quit eating like an asshole all the time.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, write me that food journal I asked you for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
they're like, oh, I know. And I'm like, no, well, shut up. Quit complaining to me about it then.
Don't complain about it. If you're not going to do the
So-
work, just don't complain.
So yeah, I have to be fun. And some people can take it the wrong way, right? But
That's not your problem.
no, not at all. And like I take if people don't think you're crazy and your dreams aren't big enough, I take that to heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I 100% agree,
It's
dude.
like, so if I don't have somebody thinking, man, that guy is just nuts every day, then I don't feel like I'm inspiring people as much as I could.
And you're not being authentic to yourself at
No.
that point.
No, for sure. So if I went to the park and I sat down on the bench and watched my kids because somebody was like, man, you're going to get somebody hurt doing your handstands, or, can't you just be normal and sit and watch your kids? Then I wouldn't be exceptional. People wouldn't be motivated by me. Right?
Yeah.
Would you be motivated by the guy just sitting on the bench? You'd be motivated by the guy doing cartwheels and pistol squats and handstands and then runs over and gets excited about a cool spot to do a human flag, or, you know what I mean? You're going to be inspired about that energy,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to want some.
It's contagious.
Yeah, and I want to give it away because I'm obviously just going to hurt myself with it if I don't give it away.
You have more than enough for everybody,
Oh,
dude.
man, I can't even explain. I'm kind of confused by it. It's a
Yeah.
curse and a blessing, Adam. I feel really good.
Yeah.
And I keep trying to make these little small investments to make myself feel better. You know what I mean? It's like, even on the sense that I used to run faster than I do now. I really have a passion for running. I used to run a lot faster than I do now. But my feet wouldn't feel good. My knees wouldn't feel good. I might put a better time on the clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you take it and using running as like this long-term application, don't run to lose weight. That's a very miserable mindset. I understand if you're a fighter or whatever, But don't run with those intentions because that's not health and wellness.
Hmm.
Don't run to go farther. But don't get me wrong, that's competition, personal competition, whether you're training for a marathon or a sport. But you're going to make sacrifices trying to run farther. There's going to be some not good stuff that could happen, right? You could be depleted or not have food, or you get some plantar fasciitis or not have perfect form, or running faster. Those things might not help you in the long run. But if you're literally going out to go, like I said, that drinking that water, say you don't feel good and you go drink a glass of water and go on a walk, you have to think, I just want to feel better, right? So you can't be so mentally hard on yourself if you had a run and it didn't go good. You got to think, man, at least I got up and went on a run.
Yeah, yeah. I think your intentions for everything really matter.
Yeah, it's like going to the gym is, if you don't feel good, don't make a decision not to go to the gym. Like, you don't even have to go to the gym. Don't make a decision not to do anything.
yeah.
That consistency.
You can always do something.
So that's where that discipline comes. You don't realize how much better you actually feel until sometimes you get moving.
Yeah.
And I live by you ask me where I get my energy from. It's not like I don't wake up on days and think, man, I need some more sleep. I went way too hard yesterday. I missed a meal. I didn't drink enough water, and say I woke up dehydrated and at a deficit in my calories. And I got these plans to train. And sometimes I'll have to throw that out the window. But I still, no matter what, I know I have people holding me accountable every single day. I got people waiting for my posts every single day. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, dude.
I got a client waiting here that's going to be here at 4:30 in the morning. Do you want me to look like I just rolled out of bed too? You think that's going to motivate people? If I got bedhead and I look like I just woke up and I'm stiff and lethargic looking, or is it going to motivate people if I'm here at 4:30, I got my blood flowing, I got water. I might not feel good, but I made sure I got my blood flowing. I washed my face with, cold water. I got my shit together, and they come in, and I'm already pumped and full of energy. It creates that aura for the day.
Yeah, well, you're setting the tone for your tribe for sure.
Oh, man, and, I don't expect everybody to feel 100%. It's very normal not to feel 100%. But what you need to learn how to do is to feel better. And everybody has their niches, whether you're going to draw, whether you're going to read, whether you're going to get some nature. Don't get me wrong, there's people that say sleep makes me happy, or naps and stuff like that. I wouldn't say I'm against that. They have their place. Like, if you're sick, take a nap. If you overtrained, take a nap. If you're low on sleep, take a nap. You're stressed out, cool, take a nap. But bodies at rest stay at rest. Bodies in motion stay in motion. Right? There's one for you.
There you go.
If you don't move it, you lose it. Well, everybody loses it, but how fast you lose it, you have a little control over that. So, I'm really glad you came out, man. This is pretty cool.
Dude, yeah. So
I didn't mean to go in 100 directions on you, but
I loved it, dude.
I can eat, breathe, sleep, and talk this stuff 24/7.
I love it. No, that's a good place to wrap up at, though. How can folks get a hold of you if they want to? Where can people find you?
I
What do
will
you wanna
tell
leave
you
the people
that
with?
I probably go over the top with my Instagram inspiration. So, if somebody follows me on Instagram, I guarantee you're going to have day in and day out inspiration. And, you want to look at some of my older posts. Don't feel free to contact me. Facebook or Instagram is a really easy way to.
What's
to
your
get a hold of
handles?
me.
I'll put them in the notes, but what are your handles for the folks listening?
What do you mean?
What's your Facebook handle? What's your what's your Instagram?
Tony Lee Sink is my Facebook. That's all you got to look up.
Okay.
Tony Lee Sink. You'll see most of the time my profile picture is me and my kids.
Uh-huh.
If you look up Instagram, it's just Tony Sink 06. I graduated 2006. It's real simple.
There you go.
Tony Sink, all one, 06.
Are you on Twitter or anything
Nope,
like that?
I'm not on Twitter. I'm
Okay.
way behind. Man, I'm doing good to have an Instagram for a couple of years. And I kind of, there's days I'm like, man, people got to get tired of my posts. And I feel like I do document my life. But I love life so much, and I'm so excited about little things. People need to see that there are people out there that get excited about little things. I get so excited about every single meal. I get excited about meal prepping. Man, I'm in the middle of a run, and I'm excited about the water I get to drink when I get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited about the stretch I want to do in the morning because my back hurts. And, I don't know what it is, but I have so much. I'm crazy for gains right now.
Yeah.
I'm very crazy for gains. Like, I've got past my mental block of overtraining as long as I have the nutritional backing. I like to push my limits. Not in a standard that it's unhealthy, but if I can maintain, good form and good movements, and man, I like to really push the buttons. Whether it's, Calisthenics I have a big passion for. Martial arts, I love technique drills and just conditioning. And, if I got a good friend, then combat dancing is great. Whatever the level, it's iron sharpens iron, obviously. Uh, like I said, I love just proper body mechanics. And every day, if I were to just put my main focus of training or my main message is move and improve, just get yourself feeling better. That consistency over time, I'm telling you, you have a lot of controls over your feels. I
Hell
mean,
yeah, brother. Well, hey, dude, I appreciate you taking the time today.
for sure.
All right, man. Well, everybody, we'll catch you later. Peace.